From 1969 until today, we have overcome all the obstacles and challenges, regardless of facilities issues or anything that we never let it stop us from holding or carrying out our free clinic throughout the world. So now I would like to share with you a video clip to show our respect and reverence towards every medical personnel that have accompanied us during this trip. This is the free clinic in Malaysia in 2008 in September. And there's another one in Cambodia in 2009 February. Again, thank you very much for all the TIMA participants. As we've seen from this short video clip, we see the free clinics were being held in Tacloban when Typhoon Yolanda hit Philippines 2013. And this kind of a relief task, together with the TIMA and the free clinics being held everywhere in the world whenever there's relief, a disaster hit. We just received a hello from our friends and families from Philippines. They would like to say hello to everybody. And again, thank you very much for our family from Philippines. Again, I would like to share with you that though they are far away from the Philippines, but then they are online with us, about 100 of them online with us. Because of a pandemic this year, we are not able to get together physically, but then when we're talking about the theme and the courses that we should have for this course, it was a very challenging time because wondering exactly how we can bring this about and to share with every one of you so that we can join somehow online and continue to share with our missions and our values. So because of that, we have the honor and inviting our brothers for this next session, and they are all very experienced in disaster relief and as well as collaborating with our medical personnel. First is our deputy director, our superintendents from Taichung Taichung Hospital, Dr. Chien, as well as Dr. Yao from Kaohsiung TIMA, and Stephen Huang from America. As we all know, these are the three people that we are very familiar with because we often see them on the TV, on the screen, and everywhere because the footprints being carried out across the globe, and everywhere there's a disaster, we can see them there. Dear Dharma Master Chien, Master with the boat, as well as TIMA participants, good morning, everyone. Now you see why we have to close the shade, and now it's gradually unveiled because we have Brother Stephen from afar, all the way in the United States, connected with us here. So we have this poster symbolizing his presence. I remember there was a time that we have a dialogue, and during the time when we have this dialogue, I was thinking, wow, what a person is Stephen, who is able to travel throughout the world and do so much. So I need to have another dialogue with him. So then I have come up with the idea to connect him this time, and he had no way of refusing it because I have now him here with this poster. And it was a joke, of course. Because of him, we are able to learn more about Tzu Chi. And there's a reason why I place him right here, this poster, in between me and Dr. Ye is because that we have a good social distancing. We don't have to put a mask on. What we want to share with you today is that start with is a PowerPoint. They want to share with you what's called distance medical treatment. Or so, is there a PowerPoint that's available? While we're waiting for the PowerPoint to come online, I wanted to tell you that this is something that we are very familiar with. We always go online to give diagnosis to the patient who are residing afar. What I want to share with you today is just an example of how we usually do every day. There's actually a story behind what I want to tell you today. Sitting right next to me here is Dr. Ye, who's from Kaohsiung TIMA. There's a problem with our PowerPoint. Let me take care of this for now. I can see there is a problem, and it is not a big problem, though we're trying to fix it. Okay, here it comes out. This is found a slide. This is a close collaboration between me and Dr. Ye. As a plastic surgeons, we often work closely together, especially when we go on to the TIMA free clinic. You can see from looking at Dr. Ye, he's a very humble and a very kind person. And so wherever we need someone, he's always there. So he followed me or I followed him. Either way, we together go to many places, whether that's in the Middle East or places like here. You see how Dr. Ye and I were once very young when we were treating the patient. And here are we trying to look for us. Where is Dr. Ye? He is actually the one sitting on the right-hand side, dozing off. You can see all the doctors were sleeping. Of course, we're all tired after attending the free clinics at the disaster sites. And every time when there is a medical clinic internationally, he's always the first one to sign up. So he's always willing to close his clinic. And I always wonder and ask him, like, what kind of patient do you take into your clinic that you can shut it down anytime you want it? So here's Dr. Ye. Dear Dharma Master Chien and everyone else in the world, as well as brother and sister here, I'm Dr. Ye. Actually, I have opened my clinic since 1990, and it was not until September 11th that the big earthquake striking in Taiwan that brought me to Tzu Chi. So since the very beginning of opening a clinic, there was some kind of pressure to support my own clinic because there was not a lot of patients. So I admit that I did have pressure. But then after I joined TIMA, I have gradually understand and gradually let go of those pressure. And I remember at the time when I participated in Angke River in Indonesia, and when we were holding the free clinic, I was still having struggles of whether I should close my clinic or not. Because if I close it down, they won't be able to see me, and they probably won't come see me anymore. But then, after I participated in the Angke River Free Medical Clinic in Indonesia, I realized this is actually very, very important. And what it brought me was much more valuable than what my patient can give me. So therefore, every time when there is opportunity to go internationally and to reach out to people in need, I would sign up. As what Master say, for those who can't come to us, especially those who are suffering and needs help, we should go there because we're much more blessed and there's no reason that we should hesitate. And so because of that, I gradually let go of the income or the pressure. And I found there is actually not much pressure anymore and not much burden about earning so much income. So because of that, this benefits me and and the way that I treat a patient and the way that I form affinities with everybody. So this kind of understanding from Dr. Ye, I hope that also remind every one of you, just like it does to me, how it is important for us to integrate Dharma into our everyday life. So here with me, I would like to as a doctor, of course, when we want to diagnose a patient, there must be a patient, and there's maybe a history and diagnosis and the treatment. The patient that we want to treat today, we want to introduce today, is here, this one. Look at the PowerPoint. Who is this person? I hear people laughing because he is his brother Stephen. In 2017, December 9th, we were there in Mexico, and together with me, Dr. Ye again, we try to treat this patient exactly what happened to brother Stephen. It was because when we were in Mexico and there was debris everywhere, and probably because brother Stephen have worked, being very, very tired, very busy, and so then he tripped and then he fell, so that his face was covered with blood. And we were kind of worried because his lips were cut. So we immediately tried to sew him up, and with the appropriate follow-up, and after sewing him together, sewing his torn lip together, we did follow up on him. And so this is the picture of brother Stephen. It's not because it was COVID-19 already in 2017, it was because it is a way to protect him from the injury, and especially just right after the operation. And this is him before and after. And now, 2 years after the follow-up, he looked even more dignified, isn't it? And it was a very impactful experience for every one of us, because it's very difficult for us to have a close follow-up on any of our patients like we do with brother Stephen. So this is following up is very important, as I say. So exactly what happened is also very important. Here is brother Stephen. Dear everybody, at the time when we went to Mexico to participate in the free clinic, I fell. And so, as I say, it is probably because busy. So when I fell down, my entire face was covered with blood, and my lip was torn. But then, luckily, because I was so blessed, I was covered by both physicians specializing in plastic surgery, like Dr. Chien and Dr. Ye. So, and also Dr. Chien from America. So I didn't have to worry about. They immediately sew it up and even give me a swastika, sew. So I now it is look even more dignified. So I'm very grateful towards Dr. Ye and Dr. Chien, and also this trip for us to go to Mexico and to have this affinity. We are very respectful towards brother Stephen because everybody knows about him and know of him. And so for us to have the blessing of treating him when it is most needed, we feel very blessed. Although Dr. Ye and I are specializing in plastic surgery, but it's not very often that we get to do things like this. And it was not very easy, as you've seen on the video, because the medical supplies and facility was not, like the one we have in Taiwan. This here is brother Stephen, 1989, when he first came to Tzu Chi. This is what he looked like then. Next, I want to show you something that no one have ever seen before. It's because I trace back to 1880. That was brother Stephen in a past life. 1880. Please pay careful attention to his eyes, his facial expression, and his physical expression, his physical appearance. You tell me whether they look alike or not. So this is the first time brother Stephen actually seeing this, I'm sure. And I actually took a photo when I saw this and hanging in the museum. I quickly took a photo of it because that's what he reminds me of. So we can tell from this photo that he must have a very pretty good life. But in 1983, that's somehow brother Stephen is also hung on the wall in the museum in England. But then he looked a little bit different, yeah? There's a very interesting change in transformation between 1880 to 1903 and today. So now we are very blessed to be able to see Brother Stephen in person. And so when I first give him a diagnosis when he fell on the floor, what would have happened if we didn't treat him? This is what would become of him. This wound will be very much like this patient I'm showing you right now, would kind of puff and then start to rotten, and the surface will start to have a bumpy look. So it was a good thing that we started treating him right away. So how do we treat that wound? This is what we brought with us. This is the hook, looking like the fish hook, and with the nylon string. And it was with different scale. And at the time, people asked me, how come you know what to bring? Is it because you think Brother Stephen will fall right then? That's what I asked Dr. Ye, and Dr. Ye said, actually, this is what he normally would prepare, just in advance, because he wasn't so sure when disaster strike, when he goes to any disaster site to carry a free clinic, what would happen. So then it just so happened that he was there, he brought all this, and so we were able to treat him. So this kind of very well-equipped facility brought by Dr. Ye is something I really wanted to share with you, because every time when he goes out with us, including we go to Haiti or any places like that, he would bring anything he can, as if he was moving his home. He also bring this portable machine for echo and for ultrasound. And though that we're plastic surgeons, so we prepare different things, as you can see. So from as little, as small as things like what we just showed you, to the hook, to portable machines like ultrasound, you can be seeing from Dr. Ye's luggage. So we're very blessed to be able to work with Dr. Ye and to treat Brother Stephen. So back to what we say about following up the patient. We also have to keep up with his vitality and his way of life. So exactly what happened to our patient after we treat him. Okay, here is Brother Stephen sitting, taking the ride in the helicopter as he does the side scouting of Mozambique. After Cyclone Idai have inundated nearly everywhere in Mozambique.
This first stage, we really need to resettle the people. And at this stage, we need construction material and shelter kits. And then in second phase, where we are discussing together...
This is what he have seen.
The residents are used to the strong winds. On the other hand, Tzu Chi Disaster Relief Team is planning to deliver help to the disaster-affected areas. This trip can also help.
And he went on shopping in a grocery store in Mozambique because they want to try to get as much of goods for the affected family members. This is exactly where our patient was about. And this is after the Mexico. Because the Cyclone Idai hit Mozambique, he immediately flew to Mozambique. That means that we have done a very good treatment so that our patient was able to move so freely. But then, again, I want to remind you, at the time when he fell, his face was really covered with blood, and we were very worried, and there might be bone fracture or any kind of damages to his dignified face. But then luckily, when we turned him upwards and then found it was just only a torn on his clip, so then we immediately sewed it up. At the time, he asked the sister to not take photos because he was afraid that when Master knows, Master will be worried. This is how mindful Brother Stephen is and how connected he is with Master's teaching, and also touches us. There's just a small detail like this would have made us feel touched. So in Mozambique, of course, Dr. Ye is also there. He was there like 5 days before everyone arrived because he wanted to do some scouting and do some survey to know exactly what is necessary for the TIMA team to arrive. So there were children who have problems and malarias. And so you can see they have big stomach and have diarrhea, and then carried by their mother without food. You can see many of them are facing a similar situation, foodless, waterless, and poor quality of living. And this is what was very prevalent at the time. I'm sure the places that we have visited, I have been to, together with Dr. Ye, we feel the same thing, because when we see the children there and the eyes shows the depth of despair, found a young life like them, and the mother next to them were so hopeless, is what saddened us the most and what continues us. And so we're very blessed to have Brother Stephen or people like Dr. Ye to be there to help us set up the clinic, so then by the time we get there, we can immediately get involved with the patients that really needs the treatment. So now when we talk about distance treatment, it's not something that is very, very difficult, because though we're separated by physical distance, but then we're still able to discuss and talk about what is right, what is wrong, and what needs to be done, and what cannot be omitted, and what need to pay attention about. So just like now, as we know, COVID-19 is prevalent and is everywhere in the world. So America, being part of this world, cannot be avoided. So exactly how and what is happening in America. So maybe we can ask our patient, also Brother Stephen, to tell us about it. Well, the current situation in America, it is actually rather dire and rather disappointing as well. Even till today, I would have to say more than 200,000 people passed away. That's 200,000 people, with nearly 7 million confirmed cases of COVID-19. So imagine this number. And, for a country like America that upholds human rights, gunshots or any kind of accidents, let alone of casualty of over 100, just 1 or 10 or 20 alone would create even riots in America. But then this time, with the death toll over 200,000, does this look like what the government? There's nothing the government can do. So this is the situation. This was a video that was given to us by Brother Stephen. So we know it's already exceeding 240,000 people in America, and the confirmed cases exceeded 7 million. So that's what it shows us, is the condition and the scale of the pandemic is gradually escalating. So because of that, Madam Mr. Chien want to keep a very close eye on this development, and so is every one of us, because a country as big as America can bring a very, very strong impact to the rest of the world. So exactly what is happening other than a pandemic in America is what Brother Han, the Deputy Director of USA, and currently is September 18th, LA time, in the afternoon around 4:55 LA time. Right behind him, you can see a smoke continue to surface. This is actually a wildfire, a forest fire. It just started to emerge. It was so new that it hasn't been given a name yet, but then it's already being seen on the CAL FIRE map. You can pinpoint it because it's already there. So about this fire, we will pay close attention to its development. But then I want to take this opportunity to share with every one of you online right now. Just this year alone, because it was such a hot and dry year, starting from the very beginning of this year, we have over 4,280 fires in the United States. And until today, the continuing ones are 79 of them. And even California alone, we have 21 of them. So that the burning area have exceeded 28,000 square meters alone. Normally, when we're looking at a wildfire, it's actually not a season for wildfire. I have to say, because often when a wildfire happens, it's because the cold wind. And when the cold wind started to take place, we will see it's late October and early November. It's not now. But then why we're seeing so many wildfires these days? It's because in the past 2 weeks alone, we can see the temperature have exceeded over 115 Fahrenheit. That's very, very hot, even for places like California. So you can see how all the trees were gone dry and the grounds were so arid without water and the animals were in despair. So this kind of a natural calamities escalated as when, let alone the fact that wildfire will come often to visit North California. So I want to take this opportunity to let you know the status of now in California, which is part of the United States. So thanks to Brother Stephen and Brother Han. As we said, I see here reminded us the actual cold wind would take places in October and November, but it actually moved. It happened much earlier. Just what Master said, the disaster that has escalated and aggravated over time it's not something that we can avoid anymore. We actually need to pay more attention, including every one of us who are medical personnel. I think this hit even more closer to home. So I wanted to ask Dr. Ye, what would you like to share with us when you reach out to people to talk about vegetarianism and when you talk about recycling and how it affects the natural and man-made calamities? Dr. Ye said that often when I go out to the community, when I talk to the patient, I will take the opportunity to talk to them about the importance to take up vegetarian diets. And what I have seen is that there's difficulties after they leave the clinic, especially when he go back to his home or be influenced by friends and family. So as Master reminded us, whenever there is an opportunity, we should seize every opportunity to promote and to give awareness to this importance of taking up vegetarian diet. So whenever I go to the conference or any kind of forum, I will try to bring this information to them and share with them how each one of us as a citizen of the earth, we are responsible to protect and safeguard this earth of ours and to try to lessen the global warming and also this environmental calamities due to our actions, and especially the impact of the health to each one of us as a person. So I try very hard to connect them with everyone that I come to reach or be in contact of. So this is same thing that what we have heard from Dr. Gan from China, that whenever they talk to the patients and they would try to use the opportunity, take the opportunity to help them to understand and to spread the information to those who have a chance to know about it. So aside from what we have talked about natural and man-made disaster, so if you have paid attention to what the development of what's going on in America, you will know election is something that is rather big right now in America. And this kind of impact it will bring to our humanitarian culture is very big. As what Brother Stephen said, the race is also one of the issues in America. Even the education in America has a lot of problems. And I myself have 3 children and 3 grandchildren. And of course, when we talk about education, we can't avoid talking about parents. However, most of the time, parents are busy making a living, so they rely on schools to carry out this education. For so many years, I have to say, from my personal experience, that I feel most of the education in America rely on formal education and knowledge, and also motivation of how to have a good and successful life. Less emphasis will be placed on the character education or ethical education. And so therefore, this is something that we are facing in America. So character education. for Tzu Chi volunteers in America, this is something that we hope to be able to supplement where this is where less emphasis is being placed by the government. And this is something that here a newspaper from World Journal, it's the same by Brother Stephen, is because Flushing in a suburb city in New York it's where the most of the Asian or immigrants resides. But then because of pandemic, because of COVID-19, we can see there's a disparity of the wealthy and the poor, and also a lot of problems being carried out when COVID-19 brought 7 million. And not only because the cultural differences. There are people who refuse to put a mask on or put a mask on. So then what actually happened? Brother Stephen said, you remember at the time, U.S. used to be the place for the promised land, bring a lot of hope to people. People hope to go there to hit the golden pot. Just he himself, just 30, 40 years, he already started to feel this regrets of immigrating to America. But then knowing the life of his journey with no regrets, so that it must be a destined reason why he's there in America, is to be the seeds for Tzu Chi in America. So regardless of where we are as disciple messaging, and we listen to Master's teaching, follow Buddha's teaching, and try to cultivate ourselves to make ourselves better. So despite the fact there's a lot of social issues going on, for example, financially, and there are like millions of people in America now would go without jobs. So with the escalation of the pandemic, the distance between the wealth and the poor get bigger and bigger. So then there are the places that people who cannot go to school to get education. The quality of the education also became bigger and became a problem. So not just the problem about race between the Black and the Caucasian, but even the minorities like Asian population is also one of the concerns now. Indeed, the social problems, whether that is race or socioeconomic status or anything like that, including job loss, not just talking about hundreds or thousands, we're talking about millions. This is a very incredible account. And so the kind of impact that it can bring to America exceeded our expectation or something that we can possibly predict. So to hear what Brother Stephen said, that can feel how disheartening for him to be there in the United States. For me personally, the biggest problem in America is probably have to fall within politics. Though we don't talk about politics in Tzu Chi, but it's inevitable because each of us is a political entity. So when we look in today's world, to look at the pollution in the air, the climate changes, the global warming, extreme severe problems and natural disasters that's coming one after another, it requires leaders from across the globe to face and to come back with more wisdom and compassion. Sadly, America opt out of the treaty in Paris and not recognizing the impact of global warming, ignoring the findings of science scientists, and so. Just recently, Scientific America, with 175 years of history, they have decided to make themselves heard of their political choices, and it's because of all of that and all the concern and problems, they have decided to choose and make a decision. Though we are talking about this politics issue right now, but we can't avoid looking at the fact is that over 240 years of history in America, the problems that America is facing can be very closely connected to the rest of the world. And the future of the world is closely connected with whatever is happening right now, is developing in America right now. Every big country is supported by its powerful force of military defense force. So therefore, we know as what is being happening with the trading of the weapons or which can create drastic situation to this world, like casualties and even people who are not living in the United States. So whether that's education or social issue or culture, it's all derives from this very, very problem, politics. So this is why I wanted to place more emphasis on this. And the importance of leadership is something that we need to pay attention about. So as leaders, we can all be leaders, just like what the Buddhas have said, what the Master have reminded us. The why they have to go out there, the Buddha's time, even now today, they have to go out to spread the Buddha's teaching so that there is no dichotomy, there's no dualism, that we can really understand how everyone is equal. And so therefore, everybody can be more disciplined of our own actions in our mind and to prevent and to help to foster a harmonious society. This is what Brother Stephen shared with us of what's going on in the United States and his observation of what is happening in America. Because America being the biggest country in the world, of course, its development will make a very big impact and it will be a very big indicator for the future development of the rest of the of the globe. And that's why Master said we as disciples, those who reside in America, to be very mindful of our own behavior, our action, our influence in America, because whatever America does will make a big impact in this world. I remember every year when we have in this TIMA, we always see Stephen sitting here with us or somewhere here that's visible to us. And so, regardless of the role that he plays now as the volunteer, but then he is also so capable. We can always place him in any place. So what do you think, Dr. Ye, where we can place him? Which department, if were to put him in a hospital, which department you would put him in? Dr. Ye said he thinks Brother Stephen is so capable that there is nothing that he cannot do, and things that he said to the people he talked to and decision he made is also very, very constructive. So based on my personal interaction, I found there a lot of dharma and a lot of wisdom in it. So he said that he have follow Master's teaching rather closely. And so I thought to try to emulate him and follow his footsteps, but it's been very challenging. So if you ask me which department I would assign him, I would think I would have put him in the Department of Philosophy. But then because we're talking about in a hospital, there's no philosophy department in a hospital. So that Superintendent Chien I think he would fall into the Department of Pathology because he will be able to diagnose based on the virus or bacteria or the symptom of the patient, and he could give appropriate prescription and diagnosis. So now I want to show you this photo. Which doctor is this? Yes, ENT, because every one of you here present online are all doctors only ENT doctors would have this, protocols on them. So I would think Brother Stephen can also be qualified as an ENT doctor because he can hear, can see, and then he can speak, and all those things that he have been doing can treat and patients, like the people that he have contact with. It's just like here, another photo that I'm sharing with you, that how he can also go on to the general surgery and try to scrape off or try to sort out the wounded patient. Or like this psychiatrist, just take a look and take a guess of who this is. From this frowning look of this portrait, this is painted by Van Gogh. It's actually the superintendent of Van Gogh's psychiatric hospital where he was being locked in. So exactly how we are able to help to lessen this conflict in this world, to create and foster more of a harmony in this world, relied on every one of us. So psychologist or psychiatrist, also bear a very, very important role. As a psychiatrist, we cannot just listen to patient complain and then start to fall into this abyss with them. In fact, instead, we have to pull them out of this abyss and try to instill correct view, correct thought, correct value in them. So next, see what this psychiatrist is saying to us. Many say that they have seen me for a long time, whether it's through a line or WeChat. I got message asking me, "You look so tired. Are you okay?" And I say, "Well, actually, a lot of people get sick because they have anxiety and depression. So, but for me, I think it's called the missing Dharma Master syndrome." Missing Dharma Master Chien syndrome, the missing masters of abode, missing every one of you. And I hope that one day this pandemic can go away quickly so that I can return to the abode to see Master and to see every one of you, to be every one of you. So then we can be closely connected with Master physically. So this is the kind of a reverence that Brother Stephen have for Dharma Master Chien, as well as his sharing, as what we try to predict exactly when he can appear. It's probably because probably during winter time or any time, we're not so sure. But then we know one thing is that with the complication that's going on in the United States, exactly what we need to do is we need to have more volunteers from America and also everywhere else in the world to come together. So that we can lessen this pandemic from going. Otherwise, we would have to have this kind of a convention again, which we don't want. So because of that, this kind of a missing Dharma Master Chien syndrome, as what Brother Stephen said, I think is something that we all shared. Honestly speaking, I am much more closely connected with Master. At least I'm now in Taiwan, and I can go to the abode to have a physical, meeting with Master. But then, what about you, Dr. Ye? Down in Kaohsiung, to come to Hualien, there is a little bit of distance, but then it's not enough to separate us because every day I get up in the morning, attend in the morning assembly, and listen to Master's Dharma. So I feel very closely connected with Master, though we're separated physically. So because of that, I think Master is always there with me, and I'm always there with Master. But then again, we're all in Taiwan, so if I really wanted to see Master, I can always take the train and then come to Hualien. So because Dr. Ye is a very blessed person, and so we can just come to see Master or just meet each other like this. But then I'm sure every one of us who are now online are probably feeling very envious because not everybody can do that. So we can see Master, though we can't see her, but she still gets up in the morning and to give morning teaching and do the life wisdom. But then I have to tell you something. Yesterday, when I was at boat, I see Master was injected with the IV when she was with us in the meeting room at the boat. When I saw Master gradually step out of her room, and as she pushed to the IV pole, I'm sorry, I'm sure every one of you are now present with me. As a medical doctor, you know exactly why a patient will be injected with IV. If not because she is so not well or so fragile, why? Why would she need to be injected with IV? And this kind of perseverance and determination coming from our Master is because she wanted to make sure that every one of us, every one of her disciples, understand and keep her teaching closely to understand our due responsibility and mission, especially during this pandemic, this time. So, like what Brother Stephen had reminded us, what Master had prescribed, this wondrous medicine, is to repent sincerely. Master say, if we just pray without repenting, reflecting our action, there's no use. So, we must repent. In addition to that, taking up vegetarian diet, it's part of the repenting and praying. So therefore, it's really up to you, as we all have this Buddha nature. We all have ignorance, we have a heavy habitual tendency, but it's up to us. Indeed, it's up to us to decide what we want to take. As he reminded us, we all have Buddha nature. So if we all have the Buddha nature, why not we can work diligently and try to see what we can do? At least we are standing on the same ground. At least we are here together, regardless of our physical distance. So we are able to hear and understand our role and our mission. So I would like to take this opportunity to use this course to talk to every one of you, and then to say to take this reverence and this love we have for Master, to integrate it to everyone, to the community close to you, where you reside, to people you will be in contact with. So then we can gradually together make an impact in lessening this pandemic. We don't know what is the follow-up afterwards, but then if we know what is the aftermath of each one of our action, then maybe every one of us will be more vigilant. So next.
People will be surprised by like the medicine and when people are getting aged, and they are usually prescribed as a medicine with a lot of like selfishness, flatter, like vanity, like jealous and greed, and with all of this in your life, and this is what we usually see there. And do you think this is going to be okay for your next generations to come? And because, Mr. Chien Yang already reminded us the right way for people, and that she really predicts that, for the decade of the moral education and for the uprising of the desire and really reach the spiritual life. And this is a really an active side for Taiwanese people. And if we put all of this in our modern life, and it's going to be safe for us, and which is instability for us. And I think the key power for us is to love, and people in Taiwan really suffer a disease named lack of love. And we have to love our earth, love all the sentient beings, and really love the equality as well in the world. And please put all of it, put all of the love in your daily reaction and your daily life. And we only have 2 more minutes left there. And yesterday, I also went back to the abode. And I saw Mr. Chien Yang was dripped infusion, and I felt very sad when I saw it. Mr. Chien Yang really, did a lot for people, and she really has a lot to do like every day. And she has to make a lot of decisions every day too. And in the morning, and my wife would usually like turn on the cell phone and get linked with our abode and check out what Mr. Chien Yang says in the morning. And when my wife would just realized that Mr. Chien Yang was not online that day, and she would feel kind of sad. So she really cares very much about the abode of Mr. Chien Yang, and so does Mr. Chien Yang. And we really encourage you to do whatever Mr. Chien Yang encourages us to do. So Stephen, would you like to say something? And he says like next time. Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, 3 Bodhisattvas here. Thank you very much. As Mr. Chien says that we lack